and you do not do the right decision, you do not make the right decision as a result of your fear, then you are a coward. See, courage in Islam has nothing to do with how you are feeling. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing what is right despite the existence of the fear. Courageous people or brave people are not brave because they're not afraid. They are brave because they are afraid. However, their fear did not stop them from making the right choice. So when you say that when a person is developing bravery in them or courage in them, the idea is not to rid themselves of the fear. The idea is, do I have enough guts? Do I have enough nerves to act upon what is right despite the fear that I am feeling? And the Quran is full of this. To a person, with regard to a person who was really liberated a great part of humanity. We're talking about our beloved Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Interestingly about Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, or Musa as he's called in Arabic, whenever he met with the Pharaoh, whenever God told him that you are about to meet with the Pharaoh, Moses, peace be upon him, always used the word khawf. He said, oh Allah, he said, فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً Musa, and Musa became afraid. So the word khawf, the word fear, as long as Musa is mentioned, somehow the word khawf is mentioned there with him as well. Does that mean that Moses, peace be upon him, was a coward? Absolutely not. Because he still did the right thing. And that tells us again, and this point is so very important, that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is doing what is right despite the existence of the fear. And that is why history of nations is not written by what the majority of the nation has done. The history of nations is written in the lives of individuals. And what is most common about these individuals, in the way that they were chosen to be part of the history of their nations, it was the courageous acts and decisions that they have made. And then the Prophet goes on, like I said in the other narration, it is kufr and faqr. Kufr in gratefulness, and faqr is poverty, somebody that is not appreciative. Or kufr sometimes also means disbelief, and poverty is the state where you do not have money. So a person here is bankrupt spiritually, another person here is bankrupt financially. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I do not want to be part of any of this. I do not want to have a physical body but a dead spirit. I do not want to have a physical body that is living but I cannot sustain simply because of the level of poverty that I am in. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, would say, I do not want to be in the state of kufr, where I am an unappreciative person, a person that is constantly consumed and preoccupied by counting my problems, not by blessings. A person that has rejected the truth, or somehow the truth has been concealed from me, as in the state of kufr. And then you've got the other way. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I do not want to be deprived spiritually. Likewise, I also do not want to be deprived financially in the state of faqr. And if you look into the state of faqr today, they said that the most expensive way to live nowadays is to be poor. The most expensive way to live nowadays is to be poor. Poor people, unfortunately, do not get proper education, if they get any education at all. You look into poor people and you see their health conditions, you see their living conditions, you see whatever it is that is almost, unfortunately, with all of our the resources that we have in the world, unbelievable production of wealth, unbelievable production of food, yet what is the number one reason or the number one vice that humanity is suffering from today? You've got things like poverty that are inflicting our societies at all level. So Quran says that to begin with, do not wish it upon yourself. Because sometimes people erroneously think that the more religious you are, the poorer that you have got to become. See, in itself, money does not make you a righteous or an immoral person. Money is just a tool. And the way you use it determines whether it was a curse or a blessing for you. So Islam is not against people having money. But rather Islam says that if you have the money and you are a righteous person, then that is the best combination. We will avoid what we spoke about earlier, the greed that is taking place, the miserliness that is taking place. Islam says, have money, but have money for the right reason. Islam is against hoarding money. However, Islam says that the having of money is good, but there are three indications that would make the having of money evil. Not that money in itself is evil, but these three things would make money evil. Number one, when we are indifferent of how we acquire that money or how we spend that money. People are willing to steal. They're willing to be guilty of fraud. They're willing to blackmail. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get the money. At that point, we are sacrificing what is ethical to have the money. Money in itself, in principle, is not bad, but the way we are acquiring it has made it bad. So that's number one. Number two is when we have money or want money for things that money cannot buy. Remember, money is capable of buying many things. However, there are also so many things out there that money cannot buy. So if you want the money to buy things that money cannot buy, then you are making a big mistake. And at that point, it becomes money becomes evil. For example, like they say, money can buy you a bed, but it cannot buy you sleep. It can buy you food, but it cannot buy an appetite. It can buy you a position, but it cannot buy you respect. It can buy you fame, but it cannot buy you dignity. It can buy you medication, but it cannot buy you health. It can buy you books, but it cannot buy you knowledge. It can buy you a security system, but it cannot buy you a peace of mind. It can even buy you a Quran in the form of a mushaf, but it cannot buy you salvation. So what happens is that when people say, I want money to be happy, they're making a big mistake. Because money can buy you entertainment, but it cannot buy you happiness. Happiness is a feelings that you get. And money does not control that. You cannot buy feelings with money. You cannot go to the pharmacy and say, please give me a dosage of courage or happiness or what have you. Islam is not against having the money, but it's how you get it and what you do with it that would determine whether it's good. However, Islam despises poverty. And that is why we're not supposed to wish it upon ourselves. You're not more religious because you are poor. Your relationship with our God is not determined by how much money we have or we do not have. And that's why we say that you are not rich because of how much you have. Rather, you are rich because of how much you can do without. An example would be, for myself, for example, I am so rich that I do not need $1 billion. It's a joke, of course, out there. But what happens is that they say that you are rich not because of how much you have, but rather how much you can do without. And we understand that poverty is really, unfortunately, it can be shackles that are around people. And nobody understands this better than people who are poor, where they're not getting the education, they're not getting the health, they're not getting the, sometimes they're not even recognized as their humanity is being jeopardized. They're the ones that are marginalized. They are the ones that are forgotten. They're the ones that are exploited, and the list goes on, of course. And then the Prophet, peace be upon him, goes on and speaks of another shackle and says, وَغَلَبَةِ الدَّيْنِ, being overwhelmed with debts, where people are taking loans. And as a result, and this is so sad nowadays, I just read a report that in the year 2003, the African countries or the continent of Africa paid $15 billion for the interest on the debts and the services that are on the debts that they have incurred during that particular year. Now, if you know anything about the economy of Africa, $15 billion is money that is badly needed in that continent. However, because there was so much debt, so much loan that was taken, in the process, the payment of the interest on these loans became they become almost impossible for people to keep up with it. The classical example is given about Uganda, for example. The country spends the equivalent of $2 a month per citizen in Uganda. That same country spends the equivalent of $11 a month per citizen in Uganda to cover the debts and the interest and the services on the debts that the country has incurred. Now, the poor person that was in such dire need of the healthcare has never seen the loan that was taken by his country. But now he is being deprived. He's asked to pay back, because every time a country is not able to keep up with the payments, what they do is that the lending party can impose certain policies, such as, we want you to lift the subsidies from education. And at that point what we're saying is that only rich people can get the education. They say lift the subsidies from the healthcare. And at that point we're told that only healthy people or only wealthy people can be healthy. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, would say, I do not want to put myself in that position. And the Prophet ﷺ would say, أَقِلَّ مِنَ الدَّيْنِ تَعِشْ حُرًّا. Borrow less, you'll live a free man. Our freedom, brothers and sisters, is our responsibility. And sometimes we enslave ourselves to our attitudes or our behavior, whether it be with others, whether it be with ourselves, whether it be the way that we deal with money. But at the end of the day, remember this, and with this we conclude, that every single person at the beginning of every day is the vendor of their own soul. Some are going to liberate it and free it, and others are going to enslave it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who emancipate their souls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
A person can light hope in a home. A few people jointly can light hope in a neighborhood. But many people working together can light hope in homes across the world.
Come and join the United Islamic Aid, a unique, well-organized central Baitul Mal, managed by the Islamic Research Foundation under my personal supervision, that will light hope in the hearts of many needy Muslims. The United Islamic Aid, inshallah, aims to register 100,000 supporting members who will make a yearly commitment of a minimum $250 US, which is 10,000 Indian rupees or 1,000 Saudi riyals, or an equivalent amount. Inshallah, this will help us collect 25 million US or 100 crore Indian rupees, which will raise the hope and remove the sufferings of many of our less fortunate Muslim brothers and sisters.
To become a supporting member of United Islamic Aid, you and your family members may send your zakat from India to IRF, United Islamic Aid, Development Credit Bank Limited, MMO, Mumbai, India. Account number 001